Protesters have maintained a near constant presence outside this building for weeks. I'm told since the killing of Renee Good. Their objective to show ICE officers that they are not welcome in this community.
Find a different job, gentlemen.
Our cameras caught National Guard members at the Whipple Federal Building handing out donuts, coffee, hot chocolate to demonstrators.
So we've had soldiers prepared in the metro area to respond in a much rapid manner than if they were not mobilized.
I think that's true Minnesota energy. This is all about community. We're all kind of taking turns or sharing warm drinks, warm food, hand warmers. That's kind of what Minnesota is all about.
Something extraordinary is unfolding right now in Minneapolis, and it's not what anyone expected. As protests erupt across the city following yet another deadly shooting involving federal immigration agents, the Minnesota National Guard has taken control that's turning heads nationwide. Instead of cracking down on demonstrators, Guard members on the ground are reportedly doing the opposite. They're handing out coffee. They're passing around donuts.
A guardsman on the scene told us this is their demonstration of safety and security and that they're here to help. A small gesture that went a long way.
They're offering hot chocolate to protesters standing in sub-zero temperatures. And they're making it crystal clear they are not ICE. Wearing bright neon reflective vests instead of tactical gear, Guard troops have deliberately separated themselves from federal agents, ensuring no one mistakes them for immigration and customs enforcement or border patrol. This comes as Minneapolis remains on edge after a string of violent encounters that have left residents shaken, furious, and flooding the streets in protest. What was supposed to be a security deployment has rapidly transformed into a powerful symbol of resistance against federal overreach. This latest eruption was triggered by the killing of Alex Priddy, a 37-year-old ICU nurse and U.S. citizen. According to bystander footage, Priddy was holding only his phone when he approached officers, seemingly attempting to help another protester who had been shoved.
Priddy is then pepper sprayed in the face by an officer while holding his phone and is then wrestled to the ground. DHS said he brandished a weapon, but the videos don't appear to show that.
Video shows officers surrounding him, striking him, forcing him to the ground, and then firing at close range. Federal officials claimed he was armed and resisting. But the footage paints a very different picture. Priddy appears motionless after the first shot, yet additional rounds were fired anyway. His family has publicly condemned the federal narrative, calling it a grotesque distortion of the truth. They describe Alex as compassionate, community-driven, and courageous, someone who stepped in to protect others.
This one does show an agent appearing to remove a gun from Priddy's back waistband seconds before the shots are fired. Local officials say Priddy had a permit to carry, and groups like the Gun Owners of America are defending his right to bear arms while protesting.
His death ignited massive demonstrations, with streets blocked, memorials erected, and chants echoing across the city demanding accountability. Candles and flowers now line the site where he was killed. Under pressure from Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Free and local police, Governor Tim Walz activated the Minnesota National Guard. In his announcement, Walz did not mince words. He accused federal immigration agents of destabilizing public safety and demanded their withdrawal.
The frustration you have, and as you saw this, they killed a man, created chaos, pushed down protesters, threw gas indiscriminately, and then left the scene, and then we're left to clean up.
The Guard, he said, would assist with logistics, traffic control, and civilian safety, not federal enforcement. Their mission was de-escalation, not confrontation. And that distinction has mattered. While federal agents have been accused of baton charges, flashbang deployments, and aggressive crowd control, the Guard arrived with an entirely different posture. Their reflective vests were a deliberate signal. Their uncovered faces were intentional.
Sheriff's office, from mutual aid across, and of course the State Patrol, of trying to get to the point where what we're saying is we can handle this, and Minnesotans can express their First Amendment rights and have our folks on the streets and get these people out of here.
Till out of here. Their actions spoke louder than any press conference. They were there for the community. As temperatures plunged to nearly 6 degrees Fahrenheit, social media flooded with footage of Guard members distributing warm drinks and snacks to protesters. Video showed troops calmly talking with demonstrators, checking on their well-being, and maintaining safe spaces for people to gather peacefully. Protesters described feeling protected rather than threatened.
We have been on state active duty for over a week. So we've had soldiers prepared in the metro area to respond in a much rapid manner than if they were not mobilized.
A stark contrast to their encounters with federal agents. This moment didn't happen in isolation. It follows two other incidents in just weeks that had already pushed Minnesota to the brink. First was the killing of Renee Good, another 37-year-old resident. Federal agents claimed she attempted to strike them with her vehicle. Witnesses and local officials disputed that account, calling the response excessive and unnecessary. Protests erupted almost immediately.
The tension across America in the hours after that deadly shooting of an American citizen by an ICE agent in Minneapolis. ABC News now learning the victim is 37-year-old Renee Good.
Then came the shooting of Julio Sosa Chelis, who was shot in the leg during what agents described as a targeted operation. City leaders accused federal forces of racial profiling and reckless tactics. Mayor Frey warned that these actions were creating chaos and draining local resources. Emergency calls surged. Officers worked nonstop. The community felt besieged. Beyond Minnesota, similar scenes have played out nationwide.
Officials said that an ICE officer was fearing for his life and then fired defensive shots to save himself and his officers, which ultimately killed Renee Good.
Just days after Renee Good was killed, protesters gathered outside a federal immigration building in Santa Ana, California. During that demonstration, Caden Rumler was holding a megaphone when he stepped forward after witnessing another protester being grabbed. From just feet away, an agent fired a projectile that struck Rumler directly in the eye. Video shows him collapsing instantly as blood poured from his face. Instead of receiving immediate medical aid, he was dragged by officers into the building, handcuffed and restrained.
Yeah, I need people to know. I can't just sit down and not have my story told.
He later spent 2 days hospitalized and underwent 6 hours of surgery. Doctors confirmed skull fractures, a ruptured eyeball, and permanent blindness in his left eye. Fragments of the projectile remain lodged dangerously close to a major artery. Doctors have reportedly requested information from federal agencies about the type of munition used to assess long-term health risks. They have received no response.
I think it's like my duty as someone who went through this to showcase how violent DHS can get with people.
Back in Minnesota, tensions escalated further when former President Donald Trump took to social media, attacking Governor Walz and Mayor Frey. He accused them of inciting disorder and questioned why local police weren't shielding ICE officers. He shared images of a recovered firearm while ignoring the videos contradicting the federal account of Alex Priddy's death. In response, Walz announced the state would lead its own investigation.
I'm told that we have a statement now from President Donald Trump, the first that we have heard from him today. It says, "This is the gunman's gun loaded with 2 additional full magazines and ready to go." What is that all about?
The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension attempted to access the scene with a judicial warrant, but was reportedly blocked by the Department of Homeland Security, fueling fears of evidence tampering. Attorney General Keith Ellison responded by filing a lawsuit against the federal government, calling the agent surge an unconstitutional invasion. A federal judge issued a temporary restraining order preventing DHS from interfering with evidence, while further arguments are heard.
Donald Trump, I call on you once again. Remove this force from Minnesota. They are sowing chaos and violence. We've seen deadly violence from federal agents again and again and again.
Minneapolis officials are now pushing to pause the entire operation. Despite everything, protests continue. People from across the state are joining locals, holding signs demanding justice and calling for ICE to leave Minnesota. Memorials continue to grow. Names are spoken aloud. Candles flicker against the cold. City emergency officials have warned of long-term trauma. Families afraid to leave their homes. Children watching armored agents in their neighborhoods.
Well, as I said last week, this federal occupation of Minnesota long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement. It's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of our state. And today that campaign claimed another life.
And yet, amid the fear, something unexpected has emerged. The sight of National Guard members offering warmth instead of force has resonated deeply. It has reminded people that authority does not have to mean brutality, that uniforms don't have to symbolize violence, that even in moments of profound division, humanity can still surface. Whether this moment marks a turning point remains to be seen. But one thing is undeniable: Minnesota has drawn a line.
What I've been seeing is that the community has been talking to each other as real people, and these people have come in and been hurting us. They've been attacking us when we've been doing nothing.
And the rest of the country is watching closely. What's happening in Minneapolis right now is exposing a deeper fracture in how power is exercised in this country. When state leaders openly challenge federal agencies, when local forces refuse to be absorbed into national crackdowns, and when soldiers choose de-escalation over domination, it sends a message far beyond city limits. This isn't just about one protest or one tragedy. It's about who gets to define safety, who is protected under the law, and who pays the price when force is used without accountability.
A neighbor was murdered. One of our regular pub attenders was right there. I mean, they were murdered on the street. Well, I mean, how are you supposed to respond? It's ludicrous. It's crazy.
The images coming out of Minnesota are already reshaping the national conversation, forcing Americans to confront an uncomfortable question about where loyalty should lie when federal authority collides with community survival. So now the question is this: should other states take the same stand? Should local forces push back against federal power when communities are being harmed? Let me know what you think.
Well, it reminds me of the Middle East. It's total chaos, military presence, invasion. Everybody in Minnesota wants these folks out. 2 people have been murdered.
And if you want more breakdowns like this, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay informed.